So the past week was quite heated at the Red Chamber in the National Assembly. The Senate was, I mean, it was drama all through, but it opened the eyes of a lot of Nigerians to so many things that were insinuated in the past or assumed. And I guess things got a little clearer, but got blurry again. We're talking about Senator Ningi, who got suspended from the Senate for 3 months for allegations that the Senate padded the 2024 budget to the tune of 3.7 trillion naira with nothing allocated for it. We're going to be quickly dissecting that. I have here with me Oluwagbemi Galano. Thanks for being here today. What were your thoughts on what happened? Because I was watching and I wasn't sure what to make of things. I mean, we've always heard about this budget padding, but we've never really seen a member of the Senate, you know, make those sort of allegations in the chamber in that way.
Okay, well, I would say it's actually not the first time we have that, because in the past two, maybe 2016 or so, a member of the House
House of Representatives,
came up to say that there was budget padding. And I think what we're having now is slightly different from what has been, because on the whole analysis of it, I think we might not call it budget padding, but we might also call it budget padding because it's maybe an end to a means.
But we didn't even get to hear.
A means to an end.
I think what worried a lot of people was that we didn't get to hear completely from Senator Ningi. People said, oh, but he should have been led to defend himself. They said, but he had defended himself enough, and the Senate had decided, you know, did you find that entire scenario, before we even get to the details of what was padding or not,
yes,
with how his situation was handled, was done well?
Well, I think it might raise some fundamental issues of justice, because the same people that felt wronged by the actions of the Honorable Senator also punished him, because under the law, you might say that for part of the fundamental principles of justice, you cannot be a judge in your own cause. Maybe he might have been given fair hearing, but from what information has, he actually told that to the President of the Senate House, and without giving some time, he said, let me look at it, and within some time, he started to air it to the public. I think that might raise some issues of whether or not there is a good intention in the first place for raising that kind of allegation.
Yeah.
Because it should have been left to the House to deal with first, then before it's made to be public.
Let's quickly go to Abuja studios now. We're joined now by Kafra Kaino, who is the immediate past executive chairman of Kaju local government. Thanks for joining us. If you can hear me, I just wanted to get your thoughts on, you know, Senator Ningi in particular. A lot of the senators were not very happy with him, especially with the fact that it seemed his interview on the BBC House of Service, there was a belief that he had a lot of tribal and sectional connotations, where he kept saying that, you know, the North wasn't benefiting from this budget, almost sort of made, for want of a better word, his allegations seem petty, or, you know, it wasn't like he had a lot of weight because, okay, if the North wasn't affected, would you have spoken up? Did you find that he presented his case well enough?
Well, thank you very much, Ebuka. What I feel is that Senator Abdul Ningi, I think the way he presented his case, I think we have one or two issues with it. He didn't present it like, or how a distinguished senator should. But the crux of the matter, and most importantly, is that something was projected to the public. I think Nigerians should be very happy, even though I don't know what becomes of that information after getting to the citizens. But for me, the most important thing is something was projected, was put out in the public, and it calls for a kind of discussion, for public discourse. I think it's time that Nigerians start getting serious and looking into the budget, whatever is being presented to the House. Because it's something usually on a good day, they just put it out for the public, and then people don't get to question what goes on in the budget. And then what are we doing to ensure that we call for accountability? Except for the civil service organizations and all that, besides them, I think a lot of Nigerians just go about their daily business and not watching or paying keen attention to what is happening with the budget and how it's been executed. But I think the moment has come, because most of us just complain about the economy being bad, but how did we get here? This is what Nigerians are now asking. And like I said, like I always say, being a former executive chairman of a local government, the citizens most times are even not aware of what is going on or not interested in how their lives are being guided, because budget basically, entails or directs the part of the economy. And then a lot of people are not putting their concentration, are not watching, are not calling for accountability. They just leave, and then when things get bad, they start complaining. For me, what Senator Ningi did, yes, it may not be put out well how he should by going to BBC directly, and BBC is an international or is a company that belongs to another country, putting out our issues out there. But most importantly, a public discourse has been brought up to the surface. And it's time that Nigerians start talking and we start questioning. We start calling for accountability and see. And then also, I would like to mention that I think what Senator Ningi said, for anybody that has been following up what has been happening in the National Assembly, it's not new. Last year in December, when the budget was passed onto the Senate, I think I recall vividly when the budget was passed, some people raised the observation in the Senate that about 4 trillion then, about 4 trillion was not tied to anything, was not tied to any project, was left. I know how budget works, but then I thought, okay, it's a new thing that's coming on board, and then maybe this sum is supposed to be projected aside for unforeseen circumstances or situations. But then coming to say it's not tied to anything, and then what becomes of this? I was thinking by now, or maybe it calls for supplementary later in the year or that. But I think it's not a new thing. It was there. It was mentioned in December. People just didn't pay notice. But it's not new to me because I've heard it before. So what Senator Ningi raised is something I've heard before in December last year. So.
The argument for a lot of some of the senators and saying that they've not done anything illegal, which also brings back the question of this appropriation power that the National Assembly has, especially the Senate. Every single year we've had a budget, probably since 1999. There's always talk about why do they have to add on whatever it is the president submits, but it's like it's the power that they have, and as long as that power rests with them, this will always be an issue. And like you said, because maybe Nigerians don't pay enough attention, we've never really bothered. Does that power not negate some of the things Senator Ningi has said, or did they flout anything, in your opinion, the Senate?
Sorry, come again.
Do you think the Senate flouted anything? Did they do anything illegally with what has happened, considering the fact that they actually have the power of appropriation?
Well, it depends on who really injected these 3.7 trillion into the budget. It depends on who injected it. But like I said, it's something I've heard before. So, if you've seen the press release by a jury, that's the presidential spokesperson, I think he tried to speak about this and said they handed over a budget. He talked about 25 trillion, and then he said I stand to be corrected though. He said in his press release that the National Assembly, the Senate, went into the budget and added about over 1 trillion into the budget. I think I have that copy of that press release. So the question is who really, if there was any 3.7 trillion, who injected that into the budget? And like I said, it's what we should be asking questions. Senator Ningi claimed he paid some consultants to look into this. And if consultants were consulted, then people were consulted to look into the budget, and this is what has been found, I think he should be given an opportunity to really speak. There should be a debate on this. And I think it was where the Senate was very fast in suspending him. Yes, I understand there is a procedures, there's ethics in the Senate and all that, but I think it was really fast in suspending him. We've seen a couple of times that people have spoken and then given some kind of misinformed the general public about situations on ground. I wouldn't want to go straight to any figure, but we remember even the Senate president at the time talked about 30 billion being given to all state governors. And then later it was confirmed, some of the governors came out and said there was nothing like this. So I think he, with that kind of situation, he should have been given an opportunity to really speak on what he has found out. But I think what happened in the Senate the other day, where after which he was suspended, I think it was a form of, I see it, I think he was threatened. I believe before he came to the floor, there were a lot of talks and there were a lot of intimidation, I could call that. It's my own opinion, though. A lot of intimidation, you know, of the outcome. In the 8th Senate, senator from Kaduna State also spoke about the salaries of senators, and that almost cost him a suspension ticket. He said if not for the Senate president who stood by him and helped him, he would have been suspended. So I understand that they have how they do their things in the Senate. But then I think we need to start probing more. We need to start probing more. For me, if I would have my way, if I were to be president today,
because he's talked there about very, very important issues, you know, about how quickly this happened, which was what I was trying to get to, but also the way it looks at a time when we're going through probably our worst economic crisis in decades. You know, we are hearing all of these figures, 3.7 trillion. Another senator came and said people were getting 500 million and he didn't get. Some other people got constituency payments and some senators didn't get. You know, you hear all of these stories. Now, we saw the Arewa Consultative Forum telling the Senate president to step down because of how weighty these allegations are. Is that a valid thing at this point? And also considering the mood of the nation. The way this has been handled and all of this that have come out, shouldn't we know more?
I think we deserve to know more in the real sense of it, but I would say that the senator coming to, I would say, throw the whole house under the bus in a process he was part of, and now after the budget has been approved since December last year, it's now coming up to say that there was a pardon. I think, and also the mode or the modalities he explored in passing this information across, because why should it be so rapid, so quick, something that an allegation that can undermine the integrity of the parliament of that nature? Why so rapid? Why so quick? Then why not explore other means of looking into these issues? Because as a nation, as by the virtue of our position in the globe, we should understand that the name and the integrity of our government is very important. So this undermines the integrity of the parliament. I think it's something, after, with fairness to the senator, I think he did the right thing by raising some concerns, airing his views, but I think there are more proper ways, appropriate ways of airing those views.
But people will ask, like, what? Because, you know, we live in a country now where everybody believes that if you don't disgrace people, they won't say anything. Because we've tried, people do interviews, there are a lot of whistleblowers, and nothing happens. So maybe he thought it's time to disgrace these people internationally for something to be done.
For something. In all fairness to him, actually, I think a society will not go down the drain so fast if only we have people that are not doing things the right way. I think it will be faster. The process of being denigrated or degenerating will be very fast if people that have the information or that can do things in a better way keep quiet and just hold their arms. In all fairness to him, I think coming out to say that, to even challenge the Senate House, is National Assembly per se, is a very laudable step. And actually, but we now come to the modality of it, the intonations, and also other things that can be considered around it. Does it not suggest, because he went to say it on BBC House, why not another channel? After consulting with the Senate President, why not another way? It suggests some other things that we might want to look into. Maybe some of the questions, I'll actually speak like a legal practitioner, not as a political person. But I want to also ask, for the conscience of the populace, that, okay, if now Arewa is coming out at this point in time to say that the Senate President should resign, does it not suggest to you that, by Section 50 of the Constitution, after the if the Senate president is not in power, it's the deputy Senate president, and the deputy, yes, the deputy Senate president happens to be from the north, Kano. So now it suggests a whole lot of things. It suggests a whole lot of politicization in this whole issue. But I would, in all fairness to him, I would say that for us to stand up to say that there are some anomalies in some places is a laudable thing.
We're almost out of time. Yeah. Very, very quickly now, if you can hear me, what do you think happens next now? Because Senator Ningi was told to apologize. He didn't apologize. He's been given a 3-month suspension, within which, if he apologizes, he could be recalled. What do you think is going to happen next?
Well, they're still looking into it. There's still a lot of talks, a lot of communication going on in the background, away from the public. And I think before the end of 3 months, we should see Ningi coming back. We hope for an apology from him. And most importantly, for me, I think, like the other speakers saying, you know, when we begin to, or when we continue putting sentiments into a lot of things, for me, I'm a northerner, but then it's not about the North, it's not about what Ningi said. And then I'm also an APC member, so that makes me supposed to like be against Ningi. But sometimes I think as a Nigerian, as a patriotic person, we need to start raising questions about some of the ways these things are being done. You know, it's, we just hope that Ningi, yes, before the end of 3 months, will be called back. And then let's see things changing. Let's see things changing. But we need to look into these questions, things he has raised. It's a concern for Nigerians, you know. Because what we're going through right now has nothing to do with region and all that. We need to start calling people and making them accountable for a lot of things. Let's fix the economy. That's the most important thing. And except we start asking or questioning reality, questioning the things we see, I don't think we're going to get anywhere. The economy may not get better.
Very quickly, knowing how Nigeria works, do you think we're going to get any answers? Or there's going to be another crisis next week and we'll move on?
Well, I think this honorable senator should keep his gunpowder dry, because that's not the end of budgetary. After the approval of the budget, there is implementation, there's also the audit stage. So after now, maybe he can keep his gunpowder dry. When the implementation comes in, and yes, it will open the whole thing. And you can now begin to ask questions. This money, this disbursement, what was it used for? What was it used for? Then we can now say, okay, the allegations that were actually made, they were directed properly.
Thank you very much, Rubbin. Thank you very much, Kafakaina from Abuja. This is going to be a very engaging situation. I think we're going to be watching for the coming weeks and probably months. Thanks a lot for joining us today. Like I was saying, you can follow us on social media. Please use the hashtag RubbinMinds when you send us a message. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next Sunday.